see here in front of me, we have the HX effects, and we have 8 different switches, and we're going to look at the overview of how all these work. So the far right 2 switches is your mode. If you choose any one of these presets, you can hit the mode button, and that's going to go into the individual effects blocks. Okay, now that's pretty cool stuff because it's very easy just to go from, well, I want that preset. You could be playing, and then let's say you want to go in and turn some things on and off or something. You can do that just by hitting the mode switch. The blinking light on the bottom is the tap tempo, so you can just tap that in. And all these switches are also capacitance sensitive. Let's say if I go into here, just by touching this switch, it's going to choose that effect, which is actually pretty cool. The next thing that we have to look at is how the presets are arranged on the board. So there's a few different things that you can do here. If we go into global settings and go into switches, we can say there's 6-switch stomp mode. There can also be a 4-switch stomp mode. I'll show you how that works. See, we still have the bank up and down, but now the effects are on 4 switches instead of 6. So we can bank up and down. This is, let's just go here. And it automatically goes back into the effects. So that's one way of doing it. I'm not going to do it that way. So we're going to go back to 6. So we got 6 effects across the 6 switches. And then on the far left, we have the bank up and down. So you're always going to have your 4 presets right here. Then you're going to have your bank. But if you hold down these 2 switches, they change the presets. So you can go between your presets like that just by hitting the up or down. Or if you're in a preset and you hold the left 2 switches again, then you're going to swap in between the snapshots within that preset. Okay. Then you still have the mode button as well. You can go in and change stuff and then go back out and do whatever. But for my purposes, I usually keep it in bank so that way I can see my 4 presets available. And then just by hitting it, now you can see it switches to snapshots. You can name these snapshots accordingly, whatever you want. You can basically change between different variations of the same preset. Okay, so hit them again, you're back in the presets. Hit those 2 buttons, now you're back in snapshots. You can go in the mode, you can turn things on and off, and whatever else. I don't know what I just did. Oh, that was a looper. So you can turn on the seeker, the chorus, the hall, different stuff. Okay, so that's how these switches are laid out on the HX effects. And now let's look at the Gigboard. All right, here is the Gigboard, and you can see that there's 4 switches across the bottom. And most people would say to themselves, that's really not a lot of switches. What can I do with that? So let's go ahead and dive into how these 4 switches can work for you. So the first thing to notice is you got the view, hands-free, looper, and tuner down here. So if you hold the switch, you see you have 4 different options. You got stomp view, rig view, hybrid view, then you got setlist view. All right, so in stomp view, you basically you can have the 4 effects across the 4 switches, or you can also have scenes going across the bottom, which is very similar to a snapshot on the HX effects. And this is basically called the rig view right here. So if we press the view button again and we choose rig, okay, now we're going to see rigs across the 4 switches here on the bottom. And you can see in the middle, the 2 and 3 switches have a previous bank and a next bank. So very similar to the HX effects where you had a dedicated bank button on the far left. You're basically just repurposing these switches right here to now go previous bank or next bank. Okay, you can see that I have 8 different rigs in this set list right here. So I can just go previous bank to go to these 4 rigs, or next bank to go to these 4 rigs. Okay, so if I'm in this rig and I want to go back to view the stomp mode, I have to hold down the view switch, press stomp, and now I can, turn on and off different stuff. So it's not like a one button hit kind of deal. You kind of have to hold the button down, wait till it gives you the options to choose one of the 4, then you just got to choose one of those. Okay. A little bit of preparation goes a long way before the gig on how you want this to be set up, but it is doable. So in hybrid mode, you're going to see 2 effects on the first 2 switches, and then you can see the previous rig and next rig on switches 3 and 4. Okay, so you can, within a set list, you can just easily choose between different rigs, and then let's say you want to always have a certain group of effects on right here, or you can put scenes right here as well. It doesn't really matter. So if I want to turn the smart harmony or the swell off and on, you can do that while still going to, previous rigs. And you can just cycle through. Like this one has a tremolo, I can turn on and off. This one has a delay, I can kick in and out. Stuff like that. And the last one on the view is set list. So if I choose that, I have to cycle through all of these set lists I have in here to get to the one I want. And unfortunately, they're in alphabetical order, and you kind of have to scroll through quite a few if you want to get to the ones at the very end. Right, so here's like some Tracy Guns set list. So if I take my finger and roll it down, you can see all the rigs I have in this set list right here. And I can go in and do previous bank and next bank, so I can access different ones. Okay. So for me, I primarily stay in setlist mode most of the time. I don't need tons of switching on and off because I've kind of already prepared that beforehand. So, and another thing to think about with the Gigboard as well, this has all the amps and effects all in one unit versus the HX effects, which is only effects, and you have to have another amplifier to, play those effects through. So 4 switches on the Gigboard, and you got 8 switches on the HX effects. And this has been the first installment in the HX versus Gigboard video series. So I am Dr. McFarland. I will see you in the next video. Keep rocking. Hey, wait a second. Before you go, be sure to check out the description down below. There's a lot of really cool links, and definitely be sure to check out my website, drmcfarlandstudios.com. See ya.